Hey guys, this is Mr. Anderson. I want to go over a few things on Google Classroom and just so you guys understand what's going on. Every day I'm going to try to put something here on the stream that explains kind of what to do for the particular day. For example, Friday, I talked about the objectives, and I'm going to go over some of those here in a second. But and we'll go over this informational folder and things like that. But this is just kind of what I'll do most of the time whenever we're going over this stuff. So I never know what you guys see on Google Classroom, but so anyway, this is what I want to kind of go over. Number one, the syllabus. I'm going to pull the syllabus up, and you guys can look at the syllabus anytime. Obviously, you know my email address that's on there. I'm trying to get through. I'm going to go through a little bit of some of the things that we're going to talk about in class. So starting here today, we're going to introduce psychology and basically understand what psychologists do. Understand what psychologist is and why we study psychology. We're also going to talk about different theorists and meaning people in psychology. Example is Sigmund Freud. I doubt if any of you guys have ever heard of Sigmund Freud, or if you have, you've just heard his name. He's very famous. I call him the Babe Ruth of psychology. He's like the man, the myth, the legend. And so we'll talk about different theories and things like that of what psychologists do. After chapter 1, we will go to chapter 6, and we'll deal with learning. And you'll learn about a guy named Ivan Pavlov, who is another famous person. Many of you guys probably don't know who he is, but I bet your parents have heard of him. And this is kind of where you begin to learn this stuff. We'll learn about learning. And we actually move that up because, hey, why not learn about learning? And then maybe we'll learn all this stuff. You'll learn something about learning. And maybe you'll start learning better. I don't know. Chapter 2 will be the third thing that we'll learn, and that's the methods of psychology. And that's how psychologists experiment. We'll talk about psychological experiments. I'll show you a video on a psychological experiment. It's actually kind of cool. It's hard to do online experiments or anything like that. I can't hook you up to electrodes or anything like that and see how you react online. Don't go do that on your own either, by the way. Then we'll talk about the biology and behavior and how our like parts of the brain. It's like a biology class, but there's some parts that are a little, learning the parts of the brain is not the most fun thing, but there are parts that are pretty cool in there. And then we'll talk about sensation and perception, how our senses perceive things and what they do inside the brain when we see things. And then we'll talk about consciousness, and consciousness is awareness, and that is like right now you're aware of what's going on around you, and you can alter that state of consciousness. For example, by going to sleep. We'll study sleep, why we sleep, how we sleep, and when we sleep, and all that stuff. We'll talk about hypnosis, meditation, and we'll also talk about drugs. We're not going to do any experiments with that one, but talk about how drugs affect our consciousness and our brain and stuff like that. I know you see memory and thinking and language here. I doubt if we get to those. If we get time, we will. But a lot of time, I don't know how this online stuff will work. But in class, we might get to memory some years. We'll see. So that's kind of on down the line. I can't remember if I told you guys this or not, but I need you to get a book, and it's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Okay, you're going to have to read a book, and it's a pretty good book. It's kind of about social psychology and how that works, and so I need you to acquire this book. You can get it on Amazon. I don't care if it's electronic, if it's a hardback, or it's a paperback, or if it's used, new, whatever. You can borrow it. You can check it out at the library. But we're going to read this book in class, during this semester, and I think you'll like it. Okay. So that deals with the syllabus. I talked to you guys about the copy of each chapter, and here they are, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So when you need to revert to the chapter, please do, and we'll use that. I know some classes don't use the textbook, but we do use the textbook. I like using the textbook because if I told you to go find something about Sigmund Freud, there's a million websites about Sigmund Freud, and then there's things about all over the place. He's got a whole bunch of things. The textbook condenses down what what you're looking at, and it actually keeps you from having to go read a whole bunch of stuff. It makes you read less. Reflections. I attached this to that reading on facial recognition, which, hey, where is facial recognition causing issues? I have the mask on. I can't open my iPhone. I got to type in my code. It's frustrating. But anyway, and I'm going to tell you guys, like when I'm out in public and I see somebody I know, it takes me just a couple of counts longer to recognize somebody. And I'm going to tell you what, I was walking through a store and I got separated from my wife. It took me a little bit to realize that was my wife. She had a face mask on. So hopefully you guys looked over what is a reflection. I'm going to tell you the first thing I do is I make sure you have, if I say a page, you have a page. If I say half a page, you have half a page. If I say a page and you have a half a page, bam, that's 5 out of 10 right off the bat. Just follow the instructions and I can grade after that. So if you get 5 out of 10 and you get, you miss, I take away 1 point. Now you're going to have 4 out of 10. If you've got a page and you miss 1, it's 9 out of 10. All right. So make sure you have the instructions of how much I want you to do. On Friday, I said something about the objectives. These are your objectives. Here's what's important about these. Tests come from here. Tests come off these objectives, and you don't know which ones will be on the test, and I know you're going to be like, there's 50. Yep, there's 50. And you got to know all this stuff. Now, I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to start talking about these today. Today, we're going to define psychology. I'm going to talk to you about behavior and the definition of behavior. We're going to talk about the goals of psychology. We're going to talk about the difference between principle and theory and all that stuff. Your test will be 25 questions. And you don't know which 25 I'm going to take, but there's also fill in the blank questions. As you can see here, you can kind of tell the difference between the multiple choice and the fill in the blank questions. So listen, you need to understand this stuff. You kind of got to study, and I'm going to give you guys a little lecture here. This class will be very interesting if you engage. If you try to find ways to just get points and stuff like that, and this is not a hard class. If you engage with the material, and for example, reading that mass thing, I hope you did read it and didn't just make a bunch of stuff up. I'm gonna talk about chapter 1, section 1 today. I hope you pay attention to it. There's some good stuff, and in any class, there's some stuff that I'm telling you is boring. But you got to kind of live with that, and I think there's going to be more good stuff than there is boring stuff. If you engage, you're going to get something out of it, and I hope that's what you're going to do. And I got a feeling that being an online learner, you have to do that. You have to do. This is on you, and so please, I think you can get a lot out of this class. But I can't make you turn the computer on. I can't make you do these things. So far, a lot of people are getting stuff taken care of and doing a good job. All right. So I am going to talk to you about chapter 1, section 1. Let me get to it. Did you guys watch football today? This is Sunday for me. That's what I do on Sundays. I watch football all day. Right now, I got the Dallas and the Rams game on, Sunday night football. I hope Dallas wins. Not that I'm a Cowboys fan. All right. So let me pull this up and hide this thing. Okay. So for me, I always like to have some type of, so I try to have a little comedic part here. So, I figure that if some of you guys were surgeons or something, or brain surgeons, you'd be trying to touch the brain and see what happens and stuff like that. So anyway, we're going to introduce psychology. Okay. So we're going to learn about behavior and the mental processes, some basic goals of psychology, and how psychology is a science. So this is section 1. What is psychology? Okay. This is a dictionary definition, the scientific systematic study of behaviors and the mental process. When you're asked a question, give us the definition of psychology. You're going to pull out Webster's dictionary, and this is it. This is what you got to answer on tests and everything. All right. But what if Joe Schmo asked you, what is psychology? Okay. Basically, it's the study of behavior and the mental process. It's the study of what our brain does, what our mind does, and how it makes us behave. Okay. Psychology is the study of the individual person. Sociology is the study of a whole bunch of people together and how they function. Okay. So psychologists will study humans, they'll study animals. These are things that you probably wonder why you do some of the stupid things you do. I mean, that might be one of the curious questions you have. Why is it that I do something wrong, my parents call me on it, and I straight deny it? And I even get myself to believe that I didn't do it. Why do I do that? And they even know I did it wrong. I can't explain that to you either, and I'm sure you wonder that yourself. But that's a lot of psychology. So behavior and the mental processes. I'm sure you guys are doing TikToks. What makes people do TikToks all the time? Some people will do a TikTok post it, but they wouldn't TikTok in front of the class, And so first of all, we're going to talk about behavior. This is any action that people can observe or measure, and that's important to be able to observe and measure. For example, brain activities is a behavior. When my brain is sitting there thinking, that's a behavior. When I'm dreaming, that's a behavior. When I'm running around, okay, that's a behavior. Blood pressure. When my blood's pumping, my brain tells my heart to pump, and it pumps. All right, that's a behavior. When I'm talking, digestion. I ate tacos tonight. Right now it's digesting. That's a behavior. Any action that can be observed or measured. All right. Sleeping is a behavior. Any outside observable movements. All right. I should TikTok or something. Sorry. All right. One of the things I get is students will say, hey, I'm in your physiology class. Physiological. What is physiological? I'm going to give you a chance to think about it. It's having to do with the organism's physical processes. Okay, your body, physiological, physical. Psychology is your mind. Physiological is your body. Okay, we have physiological needs like sleep. We have to have food, oxygen, water. I think we have to have salt too or something. And I'm sure hydrogen and nitrogen, and if you guys are in chemistry and biology, all that stuff. But we have some physical needs that we have to have. Psychological needs that we need are, as LL Cool J said a long time ago, I need love and caring. Actually, the song was I Need Love. We need love and belongingness. We need to feel secure and safe. We need people. I'm sure some of you guys are glad you're not in school. I get it, but some of you guys kind of miss people, and that's kind of psychological. All right, so that's behavior. Now we're going to talk about the mental processes. This is having to do with an organism's thinking and understanding. That's your mental processes. And this word right here, cognitive, all right? Cognitive has to do with thinking and understanding. So when we talk about cognitive behavior, it's how you think and understand things. Some people's cognitive behavior is slower. Some people's cognitive behavior is faster. Some of it's kind of scrambled. Some people think differently than other people, all right? And different age groups cognitively process things. That's what cognitive is. It has to do with thinking and understanding. You're going to hear that word for the whole semester, so make sure you understand it. The thing about this is it's unobservable. You have no idea what I'm thinking right now. No idea. Unless I tell you the truth, okay? For example, like, I swear, when I was in high school, like, you'd have a girlfriend and, or, girls, you have a boyfriend or whatever you guys have. But, my girlfriend would look at me and say, "What are you thinking right now?" I was thinking, can the Chiefs win this weekend? I mean, that's what's on my mind. And she's thinking, "Oh, what beautiful eyes you have." And I was thinking how this is such a wonderful romantic time. No, I was thinking about, if it was in March, who's going to win the NCAA tournament, when I can go play golf again. That's what I was thinking. But I would never tell her that. I'd make something up. Oh, I was thinking about how lovely your hair was. And so that's kind of one of the tough things about cognitive activities, is the only way that you know is if somebody tells you. So cognitive is the mental process. Dreaming is a cognitive activity, right? We don't know what you dream unless you tell us. A lot of times we won't tell people our dreams because weird people show up in there. And then psychological construct is like the cognitive stuff. These are something we can't see, touch, or measure. Dreams, thoughts, things like that. Those are called psychological constructs. Hate and anger, love. Those are constructs, and we can't see them, we can't measure them, but they're out there. Okay, like that one song says, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. Sorry. But anyway, what is love? Like, we can't reach out and touch it. We can't grab it. We can't measure it. Although my wife likes to try to measure my love. And, did you clean the house today? Did you do the dishes? Did you do this? Did you acknowledge me 900 times? Apparently that's the measurement of love. Have you bought me anything? How big is the ring that you're going to buy me? And things like that. Did you bring me enough flowers? That's the measurement, apparently, of love. But it's not true. But I don't tell her that. But anyway, psychological construct. A lot of the things that we deal with in psychology are psychological constructs. Okay. So, there's a question I ask my class: what is normal? And I want you to kind of think about that. What is normal? How could you define normal? So take a minute and think about it. All right. I'm going to give you some dictionary definitions. Conforming to the standard with a common type. Usual, not abnormal, regular, natural. Approximately average. Free from any mental disorder. Serving to establish a standard. Now, one of the things I ask in class is, are you normal? And I ask you, are you normal? And probably you're sitting there going, no, I'm not. I'm not normal. Some of the reasons why you're not normal, because nobody wants to be average, approximately average, conforming to the standard. We want to stick out a little bit. We want a little something different than the average. In fact, sometimes we will do what's below average so we're not average. Try to do above average. We try to stick out a little bit. We don't want to stick out too much. All right. To be honest, guys, every one of you are probably normal. You wake up in the morning, you clothe yourself, you go to the bathroom by yourselves, you bathe yourself, you can feed yourself. You're pretty normal. The thoughts that you have are pretty normal. even if those thoughts you think are strange, surprise. Like nobody, people have strange thoughts. We don't say them out loud, so nobody, a lot of times you'll be sitting in a group of people and it's like somebody says something and every one of you guys has the same thought. It's in it, and you're like, I'm weird because I have this thought, but everybody has the same thought. You're pretty normal, okay? And that's what we're going to study in this class is what is normal. We're not going to study like I'm not going to bring some guy in a straight jacket that's foaming at the mouth and say, check out this guy. What's wrong with him? We're actually going to talk about what's right with people, what's right with you, what's supposed to happen, and what usually does happen. All right, final thing we're going to deal with is the goals of psychology. Like you're going to be a psychologist, right? Because you're taking this class. So when we're thinking psychology, these are the goals of a psychologist. Number one, observe. You observe simply whatever's going on. You measure heart rates. You observe other body processes like that person is running, that person is sleeping, that person is sticking their head in a hole. All right. Now, we describe what it is. You see it, hear it, taste it, whatever. That's observing. Then you describe a person sticking their head inside of a hole. What are they doing? Drawing a picture, running, crying, laughing, whatever. You're describing the behavior. And then you explain the behavior. And this is where we do experimentation. All right. We give a hypothesis like, I think that if a person exercises every day, they'll have better thoughts in their head. And then I'll go out and conduct an experiment and I'll have people exercise for an hour a day and I'll test them and see if they have better thoughts in their head. It's doing experiments. We'll come up with theories, and that's what this class is full of, is theories to explain why something happens. Guess what? Some of these theories are probably wrong. They probably aren't 100% true. They're probably not 100% fact. Psychologists have done a lot of research to try to say, we're pretty sure this is why this happens. All right. Why do we dream? You know what? People really don't know, but there are some pretty good theories out there on why we dream. I don't know what the 100% fact is, but there are theories out there, and that's what you're going to hear a lot of in this class. And then we predict, all right? We try to tell what's going to happen in the future. Psychologists try to say, hey, for example, if you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day, you're going to look like this woman, okay? But guess what? Nothing is 100% in psychology. You can smoke 3 packs a day, and you might live to be 90. There's always Uncle Joe out there that, my uncle, he eats bacon and eggs every morning for breakfast and fried chicken and fried foods all the time, smokes 3 packs of cigarettes, live to be 90. Yeah, there's always that. And you can be as healthy as you can possibly be. And guess what? You might get sick. It might happen. All right. But the chances, it's like wearing a seatbelt. You wear a seatbelt all the time, you lessen the chance of being seriously injured in a car accident. Does that mean people aren't seriously injured in a car accident? No, doesn't mean that. So psychologists try to say, listen, if you're more positive with yourself, then you probably will, things will be better in your life. They try to predict what's going to happen. And controlling behavior, they want to change behavior, solve problems. They're not like puppets, though. They want you to control. They want to get somebody to control their own behavior, and they want to teach you how to do that. All right. If you go see a psychologist, and some of you may have, that psychologist isn't going to sit there and fix you. They're not going to cure you. There's no cures in psychology. If you have depression, if you have anxiety, they don't cure those things. They teach you how to live with it and cope with it. It's not like if you break your arm, you go in and get an x-ray. Oh, yeah, see that crack right there in the x-ray? Let's put a cast on there, give it about 6 weeks, and it'll be healed. And your arm will be, in fact, it'll be stronger, they say. That's not how it works in psychology. You don't go in and hey, take this pill, and you won't have depression anymore. You won't have anxiety anymore. All right? They teach you how to cope with it. All right? Here's an example: positive visualization. Thinking about something you're about to do in a positive way. All right. Visualize yourself being successful. If you play a sport, I coach swimming. And so my swimmers, before they swim an event, the night before they swim an event, they should swim the event. They should they should be successful. They should visualize themselves diving in the water perfectly, coming up, taking their strokes perfectly, flip turning, coming back, finishing perfectly. If you do that enough, that's practice right there. And visualize yourself in a positive way, you'll feel positive about yourself. Okay? That's one way they get you to control your behavior. All right, the science of psychology. Psychology is a social science. That's why this is a social studies class, along with history, anthropology, economics, political science, and sociology. And it's the nature and interaction of individuals. That's why it's a social science. But it's also a natural science because it relies on scientific research methodologies. It does research. It does experiments. They do research. They follow the steps in research. They conduct surveys. They draw conclusions. They analyze data. Probably the most widely used things that psychologists use are surveys and experiments. We'll talk about these things later on. They take data, they draw conclusions and things like that. And finally, I can't remember how long we got left. Theories are complex explanations based on the findings from lots of different experiments. Okay, that's what a theory is. It's trying to explain things. Theories help us describe, explain, and predict behavior. It's also a statement that tries to explain why things are the way they are. Okay. And they discuss principles that govern behavior and mental process. The goal of psychological theory is to predict behavior. The difference between a theory and a principle is a rule or law, like that Isaac Newton guy that invented gravity. All right. Let me tell you something. Watch this. Boom. I'm going to do it again. Ready, set, boom. This will not float. It is going to drop down every single time except, oh crap, I broke it. Dang it. My wife's going to be mad. Oh, well. By the way, I went to K-State, just so you know. So what I'm trying to say is theories may be true, may not be true. Principles, they are true. They are rules and laws. All right. And talking about humans and animals, why do they study humans and not animals? Because humans provide information on things like morality and values. Animals don't have morality and values. Animals will go out and they'll have like, yes. Ezekiel had just scored, and I have him in fantasy. Sorry. But anyway, animals, they got a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they'll go cheat on them. All right. They will go have multiple partners and stuff like that. They will just go around the neighborhood and, bada bing, bada boom with anybody. Humans don't do that. We care for each other. We have values. All right. Animals don't have those. All right, guys. I hope you paid attention to this. You're going to get an assignment that goes along with this tomorrow. I don't even know how long this took. I'm sorry if it took a long time. So have a great day. And anyway, if you have any questions, email me. See you.